Welcome to the Hopefulist with me, Wendy McClure. This is where we turn those nasty, negative thoughts into positive and work toward a happy, fulfilled life. Now, let's get started. Welcome to another edition of Hopefulist Activated. Thank you for joining me today. This is the new special edition I will be putting out every week to talk about what is happening in our country today. We can vent our frustrations and keep informed of each state's goings on and the doings that are happening, some of them in the secret of night, but to keep in contact with each other and to plan on how we will fight back. I wanted to start out with a quote. This one comes from Albert Einstein. Freedom in any case is only possible by constantly struggling for it. Well, ladies, we are in for a struggle. I wanted to explain why it's so important to me about what's going on in this country the last few years. Now, first of all, I have always been a proud American. I was a Republican for most of my life, with the exception of being pro-choice. That's something that was always very important to me. And I only started to feel differently when Trump was the nominee for president. Now, I knew who he really was. Not a good person. He is a terrible businessman, filing for bankruptcy numerous times. He has stolen countless times from small contractors who don't have the resources to fight him in court by stiffing them on their bills. He's treated women horribly throughout his lifetime. Now, I really could go on and on. And the thought that he could be the leader of this country was more than frightening to me. After he was elected, it became more and more clear that he was an egotistical narcissist who only cared about how he looked and what he wanted. His priorities over crowd size and being right even when he was clearly wrong, alternate facts, anyone. This was all very telling to me. What really started to disenfranchise me from the Republican Party was the way they all rallied around him. Now, look, I get it. He was one of them now, so they had to support him. But to back him up when he clearly wasn't working in the best interest of the country was a little too much for me to take. It became very clear, very fast, that anyone who stood up to him would be removed from the White House staff, but he couldn't remove people or members from Congress. They could have told him he was wrong, and there wouldn't be anything that they could do about it, that he could do about it, except pull his support. And apparently that was enough. Because as much as I despise that person, I really try to say his name as little as possible, he does have a way of swaying people to his side. But remember, so did Hitler. Trump managed to gain loyal followers who would believe anything he said without any proof whatsoever. Because whenever something went against what he said, he just called it fake news. He poisoned the American people against the media because the media tells the truth. Newspapers tell the truth. Your nightly news program, your network nightly news program tells the truth. They need to confirm sources. They need to have more than one source. They are not making stuff up. Now, Trump's even on video explaining how he will just call news he doesn't like lies. He said it. It's on video. And yet people still believe him. It is baffling to me how many people were taken in by this person. And so many who still don't see what he's really about. Things really started to change in my mind when the George Floyd incident happened. That really woke me up. It was the first time I saw how different Black people are treated than white people. Don't get me wrong. I knew there was a lot of racism and prejudice out there, but I didn't realize that their lives were literally at stake every single day, especially when they got pulled over on a traffic stop. I started to research, and to educate myself. So I read books from the perspective of a Black person because I wanted to know their experience. And I realized that it would take white people to right this wrong because Black people aren't taken seriously when they are defending themselves and other Black and brown people. I read a story about a man who went to a gas station to fill up, and he was surrounded by police immediately and told he was a suspect in a robbery down the road. They wouldn't listen to a thing he had to say. But when a white man spoke up and said that he saw the man come from the opposite direction of the robbery, they let him go. And this is just one example. Do you know how many times this happens day in, day out, all over this country? The people who aren't being oppressed need to speak out for those who are. I saw so much hatred toward George Floyd. Comments like he had it coming. That if he just listened to police, that he was a drug addict and bad news. Okay, so is that a way of justifying his being murdered in the middle of a street with no trial, no jury? Is that how we treat Black and brown people in this country? Apparently it is. I, for one, would like to see change. I can't even imagine fearing for my life when pulled over for a traffic violation, but that is real life for Black and brown people every single day. I won't even get into how police officers speak to white people versus Black and brown. But I will say that the difference is vast. Trump's handling of all this was disheartening, to say the least. Then his complete and total mismanagement of the pandemic. He said for months that it was a hoax, that it wasn't anything to worry about, even when he knew that wasn't true, because his businesses stood to lose a lot of money with a shutdown. So what did he do? I'm not surprised. He picked money over American lives. He picked himself over America. And he's done that again and again and again. If people still can't see what he's really about after the January 6th insurrection and these hearings, they are choosing not to see the truth. That is a choice that they are making. So let's fast forward to where we are now with the reversal of Roe v. Wade. This issue has always been important to me. When you take away a woman's right to choose, you take away her right to live her life the way she wants to live her life. She is regulated to a second-class citizen. She is no longer free to live her life how she chooses. And you know, it's always just been very simple in my mind. If you don't believe in abortion, don't get one. That's it. You can believe whatever you want, but you do not have the right to force your belief on me. That is what is called freedom. And I can tell you, I don't feel free right now. Since this decision has been overturned, we have already seen numerous states put extreme restrictions on abortions and some outright bans. Now they are trying to make it so you can't even travel to another state where it is legal. And they're restricting life-saving measures for the mother in order to protect a fetus, sometimes even in the case if it's already died. Please tell me how this is pro-life. Please explain it to me because I don't understand. Why is the life of the mother not as important as a fetus? Why does the life of the mother not matter in these laws? Do you see why I feel like women are being treated as breeders whose sole purpose is to crank out babies to satisfy the Republican agenda? Now we're starting to see abortion profiling. Yeah, that's right. What is it? Oh, let me tell you. That is when they pull women over that have young girls in their car. And it's starting with the young girls. It'll get to everyone eventually that are crossing state lines. So if you can't get an abortion in your state and you have the audacity to leave your state, they're going to pull you over and ask you questions like this woman who already talked about being pulled over as she crossed the state line for her daughter's lacrosse game. And they asked probing questions about where they were going and expressed doubt that they would need to go so far for a lacrosse game. Why do you need to leave the state to go to a lacrosse game? Because that's where it is. This is a dire, dire situation. We are in trouble. We need help. I fear for my nieces who are young and have a lifetime of sexual activity ahead of them. It's not even just about getting pregnant anymore. I fear for how they will be treated going forward. I fear that their lives aren't important to the state they live in, to the country they live in. And we need to do something now. We can't wait until November. We have to fight back. We have to band together and show them we will not stand for this. We must show them who we are and what we are willing to do. Please, please contact me if you want to get together to plan. I'm here in New Jersey. I am willing to travel by car. I went to DC for a rally a few weeks back. I would love to do it again. I will go as often as possible to show that this will not be something that we stand for, because this is not the America I grew up in. This is not the America I love. This is not an America that takes care of their women. And this, more and most importantly, is not an America that I can support. If you would like to help, please contact me at thehopefulist1@gmail.com. I will organize and work on a plan. I just need you and everyone you know to get involved. We need the people. I will help take care of the rest. I just need you and everyone that you can help to get involved. We can change this, ladies. We must change this.